When I was in high school and college learning about the pentatonic scale, my teachers told me about 3 things. Number 1, it had 5 notes. Number 2, it was the black keys on the piano. And number 3, it sounded Asian. That's about it. For years, I thought that the pentatonic scale was something you only used if you were writing music for Mulan or something. Looking back, I can't believe that's all they ever told me about the pentatonic scale, because this is an amazing scale. It's used in just about every genre of music you can think of all around the world, and it's so much fun to compose and improvise with. If you don't know about the pentatonic scale, today's your lucky day because we're going to learn. The pentatonic scale is a 5-note scale. It only has 5 notes. The major and the minor scales, on the other hand, are heptatonic scales. Hepta meaning 7. They have 7 pitches. So with a pentatonic scale, we're reducing it down. We're only using a smaller number of pitches to choose from. While it may seem weird that we're reducing the number of pitches we want to choose from, it actually makes it a very useful scale. This reduced, more open sound works in a lot of ways that the major and the minor just doesn't. There are actually a lot of versions of the pentatonic scale. Today we're going to be talking about the 2 main versions that you're going to see in Western music. We're going to talk about the major pentatonic scale and the minor pentatonic scale. So much of Western music history goes back to the major scale, and the pentatonic scale is no different. We're going to have to start with the major scale to figure out what the pentatonic scale looks like. So right up here, I'm going to put my C major scale. Now, I've already made a video about the major scale and how to build it. You can definitely check that out. But for right now, I'm just going to show you the major scale right here and give you the pattern of whole steps and half steps. So if I want to change this major scale into a pentatonic scale, I have to find the 4th scale degree and the 7th scale degree and just take them out. Those scale degrees are just gone now, and that leaves us with 5 notes instead of 7. Now notice the notes that we took out, the 4th and the 7th scale degrees, that's where the half steps were in our major scale. So we no longer have any half steps, and that actually takes away some of the dissonance that we get with the major scale. That's why this scale is so easy to work with, because we've taken out some of those dissonances and now we're just left with the consonant notes. Anything we play is going to sound good. Sometimes you'll hear people say that the pentatonic scale is just the black notes on the keyboard. That is correct. If I start on F sharp and I just play the black keys like this, I just played a pentatonic scale, a major pentatonic scale. The problem is that sometimes I have students who think now they can only build a pentatonic scale with the black keys, and that's not true. You can build it off of any note. It just follows the same pattern as the black keys. So you start here, you go up a whole step, another whole step, a step and a half, 1 more whole step, and then a step and a half to get back to your tonic. Another really common version of the pentatonic scale is the minor pentatonic scale. And again, I want to start with the major scale to figure this out. So if I put up my major scale and I think about how this compares with a minor scale, to get the relative minor, I would have to count up 6 scale degrees until I get to my A. A is going to be the relative minor. So if I take all these same notes from C major, but I rearrange them, so A is our new tonic, I just have created a natural minor scale. We can do the same thing with our pentatonic scale. So if I start with the major pentatonic scale and I go up to what would have been the 6th scale degree in the major scale and then make that my new tonic, I now have a minor pentatonic scale. So now if we compare this minor pentatonic scale with the natural minor scale, you can see we've removed the 2nd and the 6th scale degrees from the natural minor scale. That's how we got the pentatonic version. Now, why would we choose the pentatonic scale over the major or the minor scales? Isn't it better to have more notes to choose from when we're writing a piece of music? Not necessarily. Actually, sometimes having fewer choices makes it a lot easier for us, especially as beginning musicians, although the pentatonic scale gets used all the time by professionals. So don't think this is a beginner's tool. This is something everybody can use, any musician, no matter what stage you're at. In general, I think of the pentatonic scale more of a melodic scale rather than a harmonic scale. It's really great for writing melodies. A lot of times you can use this with a major scale. So you can use your pentatonic scale to write a melody over a normal major chord progression that still has that 4th and 7th scale degree, or the 2nd or 6th, whichever one you're using. It's just now that we have that reduced pentatonic scale, those notes are going to fit over the chords no matter what they are. We don't have to worry so much about whether this note is going to fit this chord or not. We can play whatever we like and it's going to match. I want to give you a quick example of this. I'm not a great improviser, but I'll give it a shot. I've got a chord progression that I played on guitar, and I'll just play something on violin over the top of it, only using the G major pentatonic scale. The pentatonic scale also lays really nicely on the guitar. So if you're learning guitar, you've probably run into the pentatonic scale pretty early on. It's just a scale that a lot of guitarists like to use because it lays really nicely on your fretboard. The scale is a huge part of rock music, it's a huge part of blues, it's a huge part of pop. It really is something that you should know about and you should start using because it's a ton of fun and it's easy. Once you can build it, it's easy to put it into use and start improvising and composing with it. If you haven't checked out my other videos on major and minor scales and all the other scales that are out there, then you definitely should. And I will see you next time.